I don't consider that this has very much to do with my message, but knowing how we like to think metaphysically here at Unity, you can certainly look into this and see how it applies to the talk. But a guy is walking through the country, and he stops at a sign that reads, "Talking horse for sale." Intrigued, he walks up to the stable to check it out. So he steps over to the horse, and he says, "So, what have you done with your life?" he asks the horse. And the horse says, "Well, I've led a full life. I was born in the Andes, where I herded for an entire village. Years later, I joined the mounted police force in New York, and I helped keep the city clean. And now I spend my days giving free rides to underprivileged kids here in the country." Well, the guy was flabbergasted, and he asked the horse's owner, "Why on earth would you want to get rid of such an incredible animal?" And the owner said, "Because he's a liar. He never did any of that." Sorry, just a little silliness here. Okay. My message this morning is part of the Daring to Live Courageously series that I've been on. And today we're going to be talking about daring to let go of the past. And we in Unity and on a lot of other spiritual paths are always talking about the need for us to let go of the things that keep us from our good. The interior things, and these can be physical outer things like certain behaviors or habit patterns which are not conducive to our highest and best good. And these can also be interior things like our attitudes, our beliefs, and the self-talk that goes on in our heads about ourselves, the negativity that we promote and express. Things like fear, worry, anxiety, jealousy, the need or the feeling that we want to take revenge on someone, get someone back for mistreatment, and all of these things help to bind us in ways that reduce our ability to be open to God's good in the present moment. Remember, Jesus said it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. So the reason we don't have it is often because we find ways to block that good in our lives. So in order to be open to the blessings of life, the blessings which are offered to us in this very moment here, most of us have learned that it's important for us to find ways to give up some of the old stuff in the past that we may be holding on to. The feelings and the memories that we've had which affected us or others in harmful or painful ways. In all of the healings that Jesus performed, if you go back and check this out, you'll see that there was always something that the sick person had to do before they were healed. There was something they had to let go of or something they had to do to experience that healing. The group of, I believe, was 9 blind men that Jesus healed approached Jesus for healing, and he healed them. In order to experience that healing, he told them first they had to go and wash in the stream. Okay? And they did this, and their sight cleared. Then the paralyzed man who was lying for 30 years on the steps around the pool of Bethesda, Jesus told him he had to stand up, take up his bed. Then he could walk. Okay? So it wasn't an immediate thing. He first had to get up and take up his bed. Then he was able to walk. The woman who had the issue of blood, who had spent all of her money on doctors and cures and that kind of thing with no relief, realized that she thought Jesus would be able to heal her. And so before she experienced her healing, she had to move through the crowds and touch the hem of Jesus' garment. Then the healing flowed in her. Now we know that wholeness is a part of us, okay? God life in us is whole and perfect. But again, we sometimes have attitudes, beliefs, about ourselves or others that block this flow from happening within us. And we need ways to release this imprisoned splendor. So with all of these individuals whom Jesus healed, they had to do acts of faith. They had to step out. Now, I can imagine the paralyzed man when Jesus said to get up and take up your bed and walk, that he wasn't thinking, well, wait a minute. I can't get up. I'm paralyzed, okay? But he had to take that step on faith and get up. Then take up his bed, all the things that he'd been lying on, all the misunderstandings, the untruths about himself that he had been lying on in his life. Take them up, rise them up, lift them up. Then he was able to walk. And it is like that for us. Likewise, the healing of our bodies, of our heart, of our relationships, of our finances, there are limiting thoughts, attitudes that we have, feelings and negative memories from our past negative experiences, which we have to choose to release and let go. Acting on our decision to let go of what blocks our good is basically an act of faith. We don't know whether the healing will actually come. We have to trust, okay? We have to trust that if we let go and release the blockages, that this divine flow will continue within us. And acting on this faith opens us to receive the blessings that we seek. There are numerous spiritual techniques and processes which can help us do the releasing that we need to do in order to experience the healing that we seek. Processes which involve forgiveness, using denials and affirmations, and other cognitive processes. In Unity, we also teach symbolic and imaginative techniques, which we can all use to release negative or painful aspects of our past. Here in Unity, we share a process we call the burning bowl, which can be used at any time by anyone. But as a group here in Unity churches worldwide, this process is usually used at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year when we want to free ourselves of the old, which no longer serves us, and be open to the gifts and the blessings of the now in the new year. But simply put, the burning bowl, which is a meditative process, can be done by simply getting still and turning our attention within and reflecting on what we know in our heart we are needing to let go and release. Okay? Those feelings and things that hold us down and keep us weighted down. On the table over there, I have outlines of the burning bowl procedure if any of you would like to take one of those and work with that process at home. But it's a simple process of release. We reflect on what we want to release. And we take small pieces of paper and we write those things out on the paper. And using the purifying powers of fire, we light that piece of paper and let whatever we've written on it turn into ashes. Now, you can do this at home over your bathroom sink, or you can have another receptacle there. Here in Unity, when we do the service, we have a bowl and we have sand in that, okay? Because when we light that, we want to let go of that. And as the paper turns into ash, we find ourselves choosing to let go of whatever it is we wrote that we were needing to release. Now, an alternative to the burning bowl, which we can teach our children to use when they have fears or anger or negative emotions that they need to release. So instead of using fire, again, we write out what it is we want to release on a piece of paper, on small pieces of paper. And then instead of lighting it with fire, we tear that piece of paper or those pieces of paper into tiny pieces, smaller and smaller. And then we can flush them down the toilet. And in this way, symbolically, we are using this process to flush out of ourselves and release the negative things that we've written on those pieces of paper. So children can be taught to use this when they get angry or upset about something. It is an outer way of connecting with that process in us, that power, spiritual power called renunciation, which is one of our 12 powers from God, 12 gifts from God. It's a way of activating that so that we can do the releasing and letting go. These are all forms of imaginative techniques which use fire and water as the cleansing power in these processes. Now, another imaginative technique that I've used for releasing the negative things of the past is what I call a process called the basket case. And that is because usually when I use this technique, I'm feeling like a basket case. Okay? And I believe I've shared this technique before. But in this technique, we bring into our reflection, into our meditation, the presence of a helper. Now, the helper can be actually the image in our mind, and we close our eyes and look at that black screen here in our mind, and we can image up a person who's living or a person who's passed on in life. We can also bring into this awareness with us guiding angels or other spiritual masters or teachers that represent compassion and love to us. Being part of the Christian faith, a lot of people are comfortable with images of Jesus, and they bring that image into their awareness. And and I'm going to use a process with you, which is about this, using this basket and helper in our lives. Okay. But basically, this guardian angel or teacher or master whom we bring into this experience with us comes to us. We see this using the gift of our imagination. We see this person coming to us, and they have a basket in their hands, and they hold this out to us. And we feel their love and their encouragement to place in that basket the things that have been disturbing us, our worries, our anxiety, our fears, the negative emotions, okay, that we have found difficult to release and let go of, the painful memories of the past. We place these in the basket, which this master or spiritual being is holding for us. And then we walk with this master or teacher down to the water's edge. And you can imagine this in any way that you would like. I imagine that this water is blue, clear, light blue, okay? But you can use any color that you would like. It can be a lake, it can be a pond, it can be any body of water. And we watch as this master takes that basket of items that we are choosing to release and pours these things out into the water. And as the master does this, we see that those things dissolve in the water. They disintegrate in the water. Each one of those things we have put in the basket disintegrates into nothing. And we have the clear water once again. And so we let that water act as a cleansing, purifying agent in our mind. Now, this works because of the ability of the subconscious mind to not be able to tell what's real or what's imaginary. Okay? And so when we work with imagery and we bring it alive with color, not on?
Well, you're getting a kind of, I don't know if your earring's rubbing against, it's getting just a weird.
Oh, okay.
I'll try and mess with it here.
Anyway,
Sorry.
where was I? Okay. Anyway, we realize that these things have been washed away. And then we allow ourselves to feel this release, this freedom. And this master or spiritual guide who's with us, we feel their love and their light and we express appreciation, and they leave, okay? And we know that we are free. These are a few techniques for letting go of the painful or negative experiences that we've been holding on to. But what about holding on to the wonderful experiences that we've had in our past? Might there be times when even holding on to these good experiences, when held too tightly, they keep us from enjoying the richness of our present life experience? I'd like you to do something for me. I'd like you to just hug yourself and hold yourself tightly, okay, for just a couple of minutes to see what that feels like. Now, that might feel like love, okay, but it can also feel like bondage. Okay, release those arms, okay? And so there are times when holding on to the good past can be love, but it can also be bondage. And there is a need for us, those times, to also release not only the negative stuff, but also the blessings, the good past in our lives. There are lots of reasons that we hold on to the wonderful experiences of the past. We can continue to feel the love of those who were part of those experiences in our past, and we can hold fond memories of them. We have memories of experiences where we felt good, we felt proud of ourselves, we felt bold and courageous, okay? We felt successful, healthy, wise. We were well and happy. We also have experiences in our past which, quite frankly, have changed our lives and have given us meaning and purpose. And these experiences we want to hold on to. We want to experience them. We want to hold on to the strength, the inspiration, the encouragement of these positive experiences. But what we don't want to do is bind ourselves in attachment to them. Even though we may be being held in the memories of love and compassion, held too tightly, we may be inclined to not be open to new blessings in our lives. Meaning our bucket is already filled, and so we are not open to greater good. And life is about change, and it is about moving forward, and it is about learning to open ourselves to more and more of what God is and wants to be in us and through us. So, yes, it's okay to remember the good, to cherish the moments and experiences that have enriched us and strengthened us and encouraged us, to love those who have been a part of those good past experiences. But we don't want to attach ourselves to them and be bound. And in a way, say to the universe, I don't want any more greater good. This is it, okay? There can't be any more. Well, God is always bringing or desiring to bring more good into our life experience. Only we have the power and the ability to block that good. So what we are needing to do is let go of our attachment. We ought to remember the past because we can learn from it. And if it was a good time in our life, it's okay to love it and cherish it. And love and cherish the people who were part of these experiences because we have been fortunate. But do not hold on to the attachment of it. Its time has come. What is past has passed. And we can corrupt our good memories of this experience by trying to live in them forever, because it is not possible to do this. What we can do is cherish the memories and give thanks for them and use the encouragement and the strength and inspiration that we received from these experiences to live our life now. Here's an idea which might help. Picture a backpack. It's a fantastic tool and piece of equipment, but it only holds a certain amount of material. Now, picture this backpack as your current life. Each book, each binder, each item in this backpack is some essential part of your current project, your current goal, or your current mission in life. Now, much like your life, this backpack only holds a certain amount of contents. And in a functional and efficient person, the backpack holds only what we need to carry for that particular day or experience. When we try to retain too many details, too many events, too many happenings from the past, the backpack becomes filled with the past. And we don't have room for those essential life necessities that we need to experience the now moment. To avoid this clutter, people generally remove and file these details outside of the backpack, somewhere else. This doesn't mean that we forget these, but we file these important details from our past projects and happenings and events, removing them from our immediate functional backpack of life equipment, saving them for use and reference later. So the problem with dwelling on the past is that it stuffs our backpack with items that from the past that take our focus and attention from living life now. One woman online wrote about her need to let go of the good past by sharing, "It's very hard, it's painful to let go of the past and to live in the present, let alone thinking about moving into the future." She wrote, "It's difficult and it's scary to me. I'm having to learn to let go," she said, "and to move forward in my life since the death of my husband last year, after being with him for 43 years. I'm terrified," she wrote, "of what the future holds for me. But letting go of the past and moving forward has to be done, if only in baby steps at first." She was daring to let go of her good past. So what can we do if we find ourselves attaching to our good past? How about having a celebration? Or what about a going away party? Just like beloved friends who are going away on vacation or moving elsewhere, they are not leaving our lives, only leaving their prominent location or position in our current life experiences. In our meditation or spiritual exercises, we can use symbology and imagination to send these precious memories on vacation. In our meditation, we can remember the joy, the love, the happiness, the inspiration and encouragement from people who have blessed us in the past and experiences that have blessed us in the past. And we can give thanks to them. And we can put them in a special place, perhaps in a chamber in our heart, where we can always have access to these, and yet we are not being bound by these treasured experiences of the past. And so now let's prepare for our meditation experience where we will engage in this process.